What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video, and we're going to be talking about all of the in-game models we have seen from Esports Boxing Club so far. Before we jump in, I just want to say a huge thank you for all the support on my videos and on my channel. I've gained over 140 subscribers in 7 days. Some of my videos have got like 11,000 views in like 6 days, 5,000 views in like 2 days. It's been absolutely great, so just a huge thank you for the support. Now, I have to say, I'm generally quite surprised at how many we have seen. I didn't think it was this many, but right on this list, I was like, oh my god, we've actually seen loads. So my question to you guys before we jump into the video is, whose in-game model do you guys want to see next? Mine is without a doubt Canelo. Maybe some Canelo and Plant gameplay, just like 30 seconds of them fighting or something would be awesome. But let me know who you guys would want to see. But without any further ado, let's jump into it. I've tried to put it in some sort of order. Remember, some of it's really early gameplay. Some of it we saw quite early on, haven't seen since. And some of them we see quite a lot, especially over the last few months. So let's jump into it. Now, right off the start, in the really early days, we saw the likes of Kid Galahad, and more specifically, the only time we've ever seen Ricky Hatton was in this really early gameplay at, I believe, the previous WBC convention. Obviously, it was him shadowboxing, flicking through some various other fighters. We also got to see this screenshot at the WBC convention of Scott Quigg as well, and we haven't seen him and Hatton. We haven't seen since. And then we move on to the first time we actually saw proper, you know, tuned up, real looking gameplay. And we saw the likes of Conor Benn, Kid Galahad, Josh Warrington, Arturo Gatti moving around. You know, that was the Alpha Footwork trailer. And we got to see them move. We got to see them a bit cut up. We got to see them throwing punches. And unfortunately, one fighter that I want to see more of is Conor Benn. And we haven't seen a lot of him since. But the reason I want to see him, one, because he looks fucking sick. And he looks like a scary motherfucker in real life. But his tattoos are so sick. And in the Alpha Footwork trailer, he looked fucking awesome. And I really want to see some more of him in the future. And then we briefly saw the likes of Mickey Ward, but obviously always normally fighting Arturo Gatti. There's like one clip of Mickey Ward, I believe. And then we see the likes, obviously the fighters we've seen quite a bit of. Joe Frazier, Rocky Marciano. We got to see a few little clips of those guys. David Adelaide, Eddie Hall. We saw a shit ton of those two throughout the Alpha gameplay trailer back in March. We saw tons of those two, and to be honest, I'm quite happy we got to see Eddie Hall, because it's just a funny character. People are always joking about it. It's like, I think a lot of people want to see Butterbean as well. He's a bit like that. So we got to see David Adelaide and Eddie Hall proper fighting. We got to see a screenshot of Josh Taylor in game. Unfortunately, no real gameplay of Josh Taylor, but I'm sure that'll be coming soon. But that's always a positive, because at least we know he's scanned and he's in the game right now. We got to see a couple of CAFs, a couple of created fighters, Aimbot and the art director, I believe. We got to see those guys fighting a little bit of the E3 gameplay, mainly Aimbot knocking him out, I believe. I think then Aimbot was actually knocked out by someone else, but you know, we got to see a couple of created fighters, and they look pretty decent. The muscle definition on one of the CAFs is pretty interesting, and he's pretty bulky, so I was quite happy to see, you know, that the CAFs weren't just boring blocks of flesh, that they generally look quite good. And then in more recent times, we've seen the likes of Joe Joyce. Johnny Nelson is actually someone we saw all the way at the start. So we saw Johnny Nelson originally like all the way in the WBC convention, and we've seen him quite recently now, admittedly having his shit rocked, but still we saw him back then and more recently. And like I said, we saw Joe Joyce as well, which is pretty good, because, you know, he's a heavyweight that I'm really looking forward to playing. So seeing him already in the game and see gameplay of him means he's pretty much there already. Obviously, we've seen a lot of Lyndon Arthur, Lawrence Akali. We've seen those two go at it constantly, which is also pretty cool, because that's cruiser and light heavyweight going at one another. But we've seen quite a bit of them. Now, I apologise for butchering the name, but along with Lyndon Arthur and Lawrence Akali, we also saw Patrick Rocco, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Admittedly, also getting his shit rocked by Lyndon Arthur, I believe. But, you know, those ones are the more recent ones we got to see of proper gameplay. That was where we got to see like a good 6-7 minutes of gameplay. So that was pretty cool. And then obviously more recently, we got to see Tyson Fury's in-game model. No gameplay, just his reveal of his in-game model, as well as a screenshot of him, or 2 screenshots, I believe, actually. And then Deontay Wilder from his in-game reveal, which is pretty cool, which is actually 20 in total. There's obviously some we haven't seen much of. I'd say we saw quite a bit of Wilder, even though it was only a 30-second clip. We got to see him quite a bit, whereas fighters like Rocky Marciano, we got to see a few snippets of him fighting, but I feel like we haven't seen him too much, as well as actually a face-on screenshot, so we have seen a good amount. Fighters we've seen the most, in my opinion, would be Arturo Gatti, Joe Frazier, David Adelaide, Eddie Hall, Lyndon Arthur, Lawrence Akali, and that's pretty much it. Those are the fighters that we have seen the most, and I'm not really upset about that. You know, I'd like to see, like I said, more Conor Benn, more Gatti and Ward going at it. You know, maybe a bit more Joe Frazier, but all in all, I can't really complain. We've seen quite a lot. I mean, that is 20 in-game models we've seen already. So even if they dropped a early access or a beta, I suppose that's 20 including the CAFs, by the way, so technically 21, but 19 real fighters. If they were to drop a beta, for example, a demo, whatever you prefer to call it, with these fighters in, I think we'd all be quite happy, to be honest. You know, we'd be able to have a little bit of mix-up, a little bit of difference in fights, so you can't really complain too well. This isn't even mentioned the fact that we saw briefly, I think, the back of Jamie Sheldon's bald head during one of the corner clips. But, you know, we've seen good amount of fighters here, different weight classes across the board. You can't really be upset with it, to be honest. But obviously, we're always wanting to see more. You know, we're a fan base. We're passionate about the game. We're always wanting to see more gameplay, which I completely get. And, you know, obviously, people are saying release date when, and obviously there is nothing on that yet. So, you know, I think a lot of the content creators are, you know, I've done obviously the one back in the day. I think it was like 2 or 3 months ago. I done the gameplay comparing the March gameplay to the August gameplay. Then obviously I done comparing the 2019 gameplay to the 2021 gameplay. I done that like 4 months ago. Then obviously I done more recently everything you need to know, all the knockouts, and now obviously I'm doing all of the in-game models that we've seen so far. So, you know, I think we're just keeping the hype alive. You know, we're you know, I don't know, something just tells me we're close. Something tells me we're close. I don't know why, don't quote me on it, but just something tells me we are close to getting our hands on the game, even if it may be a snippet of the game, some form of demo or early access in some manner for them to do some testing. I really feel like we're close, but like I said, don't quote me on it. I'm not right. I'm just saying, just something tells me we are getting close to it. Now, hopefully, in the future, we will see some more gameplay of different fighters. I know that Sonny Edwards has mentioned that he is in the game. We have seen a really weird up-close screenshot that I'm not going to bother showing you guys because it was like his forehead was super close to the camera. It was really strange. But he's mentioned that he's obviously in the game and he done a fight with him and Joe Joyce, using himself and Joe Joyce, which is pretty cool. You know, so at the end of the day, it's just about seeing what's up. Obviously, we've seen the likes of Loma, Roy Jones Jr., Canelo, Seniesa Estrada all being scanned into the game. Like, they're just there just for their player models, like their upper body and their fight gear. Jamel Herring, for example, as well. That doesn't mean they've been mocapped and put in the game. We don't know how long the process takes. So we could have said them, but as far as in-game models go, these are the ones that we have seen. Like I said, to be honest, they drop a demo with these fighters in, I'm more than happy. You guys are getting 400 videos a day, guaranteed. You know, so I'm generally quite happy with what we've seen so far. Obviously, I think I would like to see more gameplay. I won't be disappointed, but I wouldn't want like an 8-minute gameplay video of Lyndon Arthur versus Lawrence Akali, because we've seen that. I would like to see, even if they just use these fighters again, maybe just, I don't know, a bit more Joe Frazier versus Rocky Marciano, something like that. You know, Tyson Fury versus Joe Frazier. You see a bit more of, maybe see some more of the up-to-date Ricky Hatton. So I don't know, something along those lines. But you guys love to know what you think in the comments down below. Don't forget, as always, to drop a like, subscribe, and yeah, let me know who you guys want to see next, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.